So one of the best ways to get rich is actually be born to rich parents, because that way there's this concept of generational wealth where they can pass on whatever they have to their children, or they can also pass on knowledge. But one of the key things is it takes money to grow money. But even without that, there are also ways to utilize some of the same techniques that the rich do so that we can also build wealth. And that's what I'll be digging in this video. Let me actually kind of back up and explain what compound interest actually is. Now, in a nutshell, it's actually when your interest earns interest. And let me give you a very easy example to follow along with. So if you start with $10,000 and you earn 10% on that each year, by end of year one, you're going to have $11,000. Now your money has grown 10% more. This next year is going to be the same thing. So except now you're starting with $11,000 and that's going to grow 10% more. The result is $12,100. Now, if that same pattern continues until it's about time for retirement, let's say you start at age 25 with $10,000, by age 65, that $10,000 becomes a little bit more than $400,000 just from compound interest. So that's really the magic of it, because it's not just your original $10,000 that grows once and never again, but it's also the growth itself compounding over time. And the more you start with, or the more you invest sooner, the faster and larger that amount will grow. I'll be the first to admit that I'm a pretty frugal person. In fact, I've actually made a video on it before. If you're interested, I'll leave a link down in the description. But now I know some people scoff at the idea of being frugal because consumerism is a really big part of our American culture. So I can see why some people look upon frugality as a bad thing. Maybe they just have more money, maybe they grew up with a wealthy family, or just simply have differences in ideology. But I grew up really poor, to the point where a gym membership was expensive to me, or extra food costs for lifting weights was really expensive to me. So I've definitely heard people ask things like, how is a gym membership expensive? How is having a weightlifting routine expensive? Because all it costs is a little bit of extra food and maybe $50 per month. And not to even mention the extra cost on supplements if you're focused on strength training. So it's definitely a very huge difference in perspective. And some people just think that there's no point in saving money because they live in the now and today, and you can't take it with you when you die. But the thing is, the more that you can scrounge up and save now, the more you can spend that wisely to make money faster and have more to spend later. You could save for less time if you do it now versus if you do it later, and I'll give you an example of this. If I lived paycheck to paycheck, playing around and spending on leisure most of my pre-retirement life before I retire, and just start investing at the age of 60 with $10,000 in total savings, by 65, I'll have about $16,000. Hardly enough to live off of, and that's about an increase of $1,200 per year. Compare that to if I start investing at age 25, where that same 10,000 would have grown to over 400,000. That's almost an increase of $10,000 per year just because you invested a lot sooner. Now, let me actually give you just one more example. A more realistic one where if you invested $10,000 at age 22, assuming that your investment could get you 10% each year, and you managed to save $10,000 each year to add to your existing investment. Now, by age 30, you'll have $135,000 in total investments, and by age 40, you'll have around $500,000 in investments, and by age 46 to 47 is when you'll finally have $1 million in savings or in retirement savings. And 10% of 1 million will already generate you six figures just from investments on an average year. So if you chose to and it fits with your lifestyle, you could theoretically be retired at 46 or 47 from following this strategy. Now, my philosophy here is to save as much as I comfortably can because I'm not an extreme minimalist, though I'm probably more frugal than the average person. Again, I am not very extreme with how I save. Like some people are actually way more frugal, where they choose to live in their car, or maybe they choose to live outside in a tent. They clip every single coupon, or they barely go out to eat, or they even go to the food banks for free food, or examples like that. So I'm frugal to a point where it's still comfortable for me, but I also have a substantial amount of savings that I can put into investments to take advantage of compound interest. This way I can live very comfortably well in advance of my 60s. So ultimately, your financial strategy is going to depend on you. To be very, very clear, this is an example of what can be and not what will be. You may or may not be able to save 10,000 a year. Maybe you'll be able to save way more. Maybe you can't get 10% on your investment each year. Maybe you can get more. Maybe you want less than $1 million and maybe you want more. So this is all about what you want to do. If you decide to retire in a country with a far lower cost of living, then you won't need as much either. If you decide you can be frugal in old age and you want to spend lavishly now, that can work for you too. You just have to align your strategies with your goals. Now, a trap that people get stuck into is that they take consumerism too far. They spend their entire paycheck in their 20s, their 30s, their 40s, their 50s, and their 60s, and they just can't stop themselves by the time it's time to retire. So they either keep working for as long as they can, or they live in poverty after retirement. So it's really up to you, but this is something that you want to keep in mind as you're working this out for yourself. So that's about all I have for this video, but to just wrap this up, in conclusion, compound interest is one of the most powerful financial tools available. It allows your money to grow exponentially over time by earning interest on both your original investment and the interest that it earns. It can significantly reduce the amount that you need to save each month to reach your financial goals. So whether you're saving for early retirement, saving for a new house, or just building financial cushions, take advantage of compound interest. Start investing as soon as you can, and again, start investing wisely and not just speculatively, and let time and interest do the heavy lifting for you. If you like this video, please like it, subscribe, and I thank you for watching.